total dedication and commitment. My congratulations to all of you. Friends, the limited focus and important focus of this press meet is alarming, worrisome state of affairs of education scene in the state. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all CBSE Class 10 candidates for the success in first public examination. For those of my young friends who are not happy with the result, my advice is don't despair. One exam doesn't define who you are. Live life to the fullest. Never lose hope. Your talent will surely be unleashed. My best wishes for students of higher secondary examination whose results are to be declared tomorrow. I strongly urge the universities to ensure that fresh entrants in higher education, the new students who will go from school to college, are not made to suffer in any manner. For last few years, students passing the school, seeking admission in the colleges have been exploited financially for their admission. This must not happen any longer. It is very serious as also crime. If a student has to pay for admission to the college in this manner, it sends a very wrong signal and adversely impacts our society. Friends, interaction of governor and chancellor with vice chancellors is natural, essential, and part of my duty. I planned a meeting in 2020 on January 13 with the vice chancellors. It was my obligation and it was their duty to attend. Surprisingly, unfortunately, the government writes to me on January 9. The department is of the opinion that there is no requirement of any further meeting at this time. Unheard of. In no part of the country such kind of lawlessness exists. The government taking a view that the chancellor cannot have interaction with vice chancellors because it so feels. I was greatly worried. I wanted to control the decline. I found it preposterous and unacceptable. It was unmindful of the position I hold. I therefore wrote a letter to the Chief Minister on January 15. I indicated to her this judgmental approach was inappropriate. How can government sit over the judgment and in-judgment of the Chancellor, the Governor? I called upon her. We should not suffer this stalemate. This damages our education, the most important segment of total working. The communication was written on 15th of January. The Honorable Chief Minister has yet to find time, even after lapse of 6 months, to respond to this very important communication. I continued in my journey to reform the education, to take care of the interest of students, to be in touch with the Vice Chancellors. So during COVID-19, I scheduled virtual conference with Vice Chancellors on July 15. You will be shocked as members of the media. Academicians will be shocked. Former Vice Chancellors will be shocked. Students will be hurt. Their guardians will be stunned. The government says there is no provision for virtual conference under the rules. Can you ever imagine in changing India where virtual conferences are held day in and day out by the Chief Minister? The government has audacity to write to the governor. There is no rule. Importance of education, friends, in society is acknowledged. It can never be overemphasized. If a country has grown, it has grown on account of its quality of education. Education is all important. Education is soul of the society as it passes from one generation to another. Neglect of education will hurt generation after generation. It is unfortunate in our state, education is politically cased, politically controlled. Politically cased education can never serve wholesome purpose. What I find now is that this political grip on education is tightening. It will hurt the students. It will hurt the education scenario. It will hurt the society at large. I have been here now for a year trying to improve education scenario. I have had intense interactions with alumni of our prestigious institutions, addressed the centenary celebration of the Alumni Association of the leading university. I have interacted with former Vice Chancellors. I have interacted with students, guardians, and academicians. They all share my anguish that the state of West Bengal, which is gifted with one of the finest institutions, oldest institutions, is rapidly declining in quality of education on account of political control and political affiliation of those in command in universities. Unfortunate. Let me remind you, friends, during this stressful pandemic period, let us take note of Darwinian dictum. And what does it say? And mind you, it is historically recognized, I quote, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change," unquote. We are failing in this change. I am sure the Vice Chancellors of 23 universities of this state and Education Minister must be aware of this ruthless reality that Darwin so aptly articulated. And if they are not, you may make the plight of our students, our future, pursuing their higher education. They will be put in a messy situation. All these students enrolled in graduation, post-graduation, doctoral, postdoctoral course are our most precious human resource. The country cannot prosper, cannot develop, cannot attain greater heights if they don't do well. And they can do well only when they get best education system. This is what I am tirelessly raising with sincerity. If I am raising issue of quality of education, I want our students to get best of education. I do not understand why the government is objecting to this. I am taking care of students who are in their youth. It is my concern and duty to make this government responsible to the people and their children. I will keep on trying. I have no doubt I will succeed. That is the constitutional mandate to me. The pandemic has thrown one of the deepest uncertainties humanity has ever confronted with us. The crisis is unprecedented, including with the education system. It has in a sense disrupted education system. It has disrupted calendar of education. I can see the gloom on the faces of students, young minds, due to governmental apathy. Non-committal government makes them more restive with each passing day. Look at my Twitter handle. I have flagged students are topmost priority. Look at the reactions. Look at their pain. Look at their anxiety. Look at the issues they are flagging to the governor. Why? Because those who have to handle those issues are not responding. Those who have to address their concerns, those who have to give relief them, are absent from their duty. I wanted to fathom the problems of universities and colleges, and that was my motivation. Object in calling a virtual meeting of the VCs, which they opposed tooth and nail in a war-like situation. Where are we heading? Our roof is falling on us, and we are not cognizant of it. Why are they opposing it tooth and nail in war-like situation? They have no idea. I therefore can't understand why they are against it. Question was raised on my propriety to call such a meeting. They rush to the media, and I do not wish to say much. They get ample coverage. That coverage will hurt the students and society in the long run. I will appeal to the media, engage into balanced reporting. Governor Chancellor takes a stand on sublimity, on way forward approach to alleviate the real grievance of students. But the bigger question is, if the state government is in never-ending denial, then what should I do? Who will do it? I don't see anyone doing it. I pose a question through media to everyone. Is it inappropriate for a governor to raise legitimate questions? Can education department and VCs proclaim taking them to be high on pedestal, that they will not take a command from the Chancellor? Are they not accountable? When will these people will become accountable? Would they take partisan approach? Be inspired by their political masters, ignoring their sense of duty, their concern for students? The saddest element in their entire committees, they forget one thing. The students are in crisis, in deep crisis during pandemic attack. It is a fact now well accepted. We do not know how long this scene will last. You know it more than I do. You are more in touch with ground reality. I see what comes in paper. You also know what does not come in the newspaper or media. I therefore urge the government, plead with the government, in the interest of educational students, the government must factor COVID-19 in all the issues they are dealing with the education. They must factor COVID-19. Our students are stressed, in pain, difficulty, emotive concerns, and financial problems. The state government, unfortunately, has not come out with any policy statement or document on students. Why? They are future. They have to control events. They are precious human resource. Graduate and postgraduate students particularly need degrees to pursue their further studies and get suitable jobs through competition. Imagine their anxiety. If we don't help them as a system, we are failing our country, our state, our society, and putting in jeopardy their future. Denying degrees means denying academic progression or jobs. You have a degree, either you go for a higher degree or for a job. If you don't have one, I can understand the real problem of students. Degrees have to be given that are globally respected, that have international mobility, that do not carry stigma. We have to take care of our students, and this can happen in the form of examinations or effective, suitable mechanism. Examinations can be held when course is complete, situation is implemented, ground reality is wholesome. I pose a question to myself. My dear Vice Chancellors, have you devised these methods? Are you aware of it? Have you interacted with students? Have you a mechanism to know about their mind? Or are you just engaged in taking on the governor and chancellor? Is it your primary motivation, object? Someone who you think will write your dossier, will write it well if you act on against the chancellor. Said events. There could have been number of dramatic changes to suit COVID-19 situation. Libraries could be done online. Those who do not have proper connectivity, their concerns can be addressed. Have the VCs and their administrative staff checked on what is happening in other parts of the world? They have not stopped. They are informing students, faculties, administrative staff about course and examination. They have even granted degrees by holding virtual convocations. How long and how far the students of this state will be denied their right in the situation when state has completely failed in controlling COVID-19 transmission? Those who are in front of me, they are privy to it. They know how serious situation in which we are. If so, can the state inform how long students will have to further wait? What will be the modalities of their compensation if they lose 1 year or more in the academic pursuit? Who will compensate them and how? Those who are waiting for degrees to submit for job, and some of them have been selected. Would there be any system of granting ad hoc degrees in anticipation? All these issues are under neglect. They are under back burner. Nelson's eye is being turned on them. Why? Should it be done or not? What is required today is proper planning, execution, thinking. If the state has done it, your governor would know it before anyone else. I am not aware. But if there is one, why are you keeping it secret? Why are you keeping it so secret like the skeletons in your cupboards? Let the people know about it. If the VCs have done, government, if they have done, I am not aware. If VCs have done, I am equally not aware. Students are not aware. Their guardians are not aware. Media is not aware. They must come out appropriately. I call upon the Chief Minister, the Education Minister, and the entire Cabinet, and all the Vice Chancellors who have been denying to come forth to grapple with these issues and problems so acutely faced by our students, that where is their response to change with the crisis currently thrust on them and all of us? They must come out in black and white, for which they have been elected, selected and funded by the people. What have they thought about the issues? I pose a question. How they have articulated them, how they propose to address, how they will execute. They must give tangible and time frame, as it will be waste of time and failing our students. Friends, I have shown utmost respect, patience and persuasion in dealing with the Vice Chancellors. All that has gone down the drain because of their determined non-responsive approach. I have taken them as part of my family, being the Chancellor and Governor. I have repeatedly said I do not wish them to be stressed because the state government is fighting with the governor. Publicly I have said so. I have pleaded with everyone, let our Vice Chancellors act with freedom. The acts have limited role for the Governor and Chancellor and much more limited role for the state government. I was compelled to issue a show cause notice of dismissal to one of the Vice Chancellors, Cooch Behar, Panchalan Burma University. I would appeal to the media. It was circulated, but attention has not been bestowed. Public domain media has not carried it. Please read it. I will read some part of it. You will know where my pain is. My order of 12th June 2020 is comprehensive. I will read some parts of it so that you come to know about my pain. Friends, this order will be circulated to you. If you will go to page 8, you will find sequence of details. The convocation was to be held on 14th February 2020. When I issued notice, the Chancellor has not been given any intimation. University gives a reply. Mark the reply. They say, we have sent a letter on 16th January 2020. Well in time. Convocation was on 14th February. They have sent on 16th January. When the file came to me, I was shocked. I was surprised. You cannot believe it. It carried an envelope. And that envelope was of DTTC, a service provider. My office is directed to get details. This letter of 16th January 2020 was posted 25 days thereafter on 10th February. Can you imagine? Convocation on 14th February. They take the date as 16th January, post it on 10th February, received by the government on 11th February. Still, when the Honorable Minister writes to me, and what he writes to me is at page 9, Honorable Chancellor, kindly refer to my discussion on VC of the university. VC attended my office along with papers and reply. VC should have attended my office, not his office. I advise him to be careful in dealing with the Honorable Chancellor. Sir, Partha Chatterjee writing to me, this is completely lack of coordination. Between whom? How can it be lack of coordination? 16th January communication, you post after 25 days on 10th February and convocation 14th February. It's a major misconduct. please consider to drop the issue. I thought I am father figure to vice chancellors. They have been living in a different world. I must give one chance. So with great heavy heart, I overlook this major lapse that the communication is dispelled 25 days afterwards. Just 4 days before the convocation. It was major misconduct. I only put in a word of caution. But then we have another. We have here a forum of vice chancellors. Friends, no state has this forum. Vice chancellors cannot be trade union. And this forum is engaged in only one activity. And that activity is, they have held 4 meetings so far. All the 4 meetings are against the chancellor. I had appealed to them. Why don't you come and sit with me? Why don't you deliberate with me? Why don't you discuss with me? I am therefore reading para 23 of my order, including members of this forum, because all of them are vice chancellors. I deem it appropriate to take note of the statement emanating from the forum of vice chancellors on the issue of my notice to this vice chancellor, who posts after 25 days, just 4 days before the convocation. Same has caused deep anguish at my end, both on propriety and ignorance of fact situation. The statement, and look at what their statement, I am quoting the statement of this forum, about this vice chancellor who committed such a major misconduct that for 14th February convocation he posts only on 10th February, indicating to everyone that it was posted on 16th January or 18th January. We understand that our colleague has acted in accordance with the rules. Has he acted in accordance with rules? Are you shutting your eyes? You are vice chancellors. You have to be role model to students. What are you really talking about? And then we have been informed by the VC Panchalam Burma that he did not receive any response from Rajmohan. What response? Your communication, you say you sent on 16th or 18th January, is posted by you on 10th January. And that too not to me, to the government. Which made him go ahead with the convocation without the presence of His Excellency. Can you beat it, are they? Doing respect to the position they hold? Are they not belittling their position? I appeal to them because I do not wish to fight with my family. I do not wish to act in a manner which can be deterrent to their performance. I have to guide them, improve them, assist them to come up to the level which they are supposed to be. I therefore write in para 25, the Vice Chancellor's action as a group without making any effort to secure access to the Chancellor, who is ever ready to deliberate and engage in dialogue, is demeanor that apart from belittling office they hold, compromises the sense of position which I hold. And I invite them. But I indicate something very serious. The dignity of the office of Chancellor cannot be allowed to be compromised. I am sure everyone will agree. I cannot compromise dignity of the office of the Chief Minister. She cannot compromise on my dignity. We are constitutional functionaries. I cannot compromise your right to report as media persons. So I tell them, dignity of the Chancellor cannot be allowed to be compromised. Several worrisome events have generated such attitude. All such infractions are under my consideration in the interest of students and education. I would not hesitate to invoke the authority vested in me. It is under these circumstances I overlooked the demeanor of this Vice Chancellor. None of you would have overlooked it. If you were in my place, you would have taken him to task ultimately. Explain why did you take 25 days in posting a communication where you are inviting the Chancellor to attend the convocation, preside over it. And that too, just 4 days before convocation posting is done, concealed, never revealed. It was I who in my order found it out, put the evidence on record of the DTDC and actual receipt by the government of West Bengal on 11th February. I therefore called all the Vice Chancellors, attend my virtual conference, and they have read this order. It was sent to them. Their defiance will be seen in the light of this order. They must have gone through it. They were directed to go through it. They must have known my mind. I told them do two things. One, they must flag to me issues by 13th of July which are open-ended. The issues which are of concern to the students, which are disturbing students, they did not respond on 13th. They did not flag to me any issue of students. They should have been happy to flag it to me. They did not. On 15th, only one Vice Chancellor attends, along with the Pro-Vice Chancellor. The West Bengal University of Health Sciences, in the interest of students, in the interest of education, in the interest of rule of law, in the interest of duties and obligations cast on me, I have no other option but to seek appropriate response from all the Vice Chancellors who have failed in their duty by not attending the virtual conference on 15th of July. Also, they will be called upon to explain why did they not flag the issues of students to me. I had publicly appealed to the students that I had called a virtual conference on 15th. You please get in touch with your Vice Chancellors, flag your questions to them, flag your concerns to them, and they will come to me automatically. They have done great injustice to the position they hold. They have belittled their position. I don't want to be judgmental any further. I will seek response from them, carefully study it, take them to be part of my family, try to reason out with them, and then proceed further according to the applicable act and the legal regime. I may inform you further that I have been constantly in touch with the UGC, because even if the Vice Chancellors take a defined stand, if the government is not alive to the problems of students, I cannot shut my eyes. I am regularly in contact with the University Grants Commission Chairman and the government. I had a good meeting with Mr. Partha Chatterjee. He doesn't concern all the universities, he concerns some. Like health and agriculture, he is not concerned. And Mr. Manish Jain, the Principal Secretary. Good they came. I used my back channels. I persuaded the Chief Minister that this is an issue. This can't be an issue of prestige, can't be an issue of ego. It's my duty, my right, my constitutional obligation. They came. I know their mind. I raised several other issues with them. They did not have any response. Have we involved the alumni? Our institutions in the state of West Bengal are more than a century old, some of them. They have prestigious alumni all over the world. The alumni are well placed. I know they come forward to deal with the problems of the students. You must get guidance from them. I would urge finally all my media friends, I do not wish to take any question other than education. I would expect you to confine your questions only on the state of education, if you have any. I think I have comprehensively put forth my point of view. The statement I made will be shared by the press secretary with you electronically, along with the 3 communications I have referred to. First communication, I wanted to have a conference with the Vice Chancellor and the department taking a view not required. Second communication, there is no rule for virtual conference. Third, my communication to the Honorable Chief Minister. Thank you so much.